All right, we should be live now. Just testing the audio quickly, making sure things are okay. Let me see.
Right, and I.
All right, seems like things are okay and the audio should be fine. Looks like just gonna do a quick test.
Tasks, deadlines.
All right, we are live, and yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to people watching from different country, different time zone. Welcome to the Q&A session. Uh, I originally started this to have a Q&A every week. Unfortunately, because of time constraint and other um, parameters, I was not able to do it. But at least I try now to do it monthly, if not weekly. So welcome, and if you have any sort of questions here today, I'll be more than happy to take your questions, and I would be trying to answer your questions live here. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to post them in the comment section down below, and I can answer the question I can answer the question in which in the order in which it was received, right? So yeah. So expect more tutorials on AWS cloud, data engineering, using serverless components, Kinesis data stream. Upcoming topics, you might expect videos on messaging queue. We have used essentially SQS a lot. I have used a lot. I have used RabbitMQ in my Celery videos. So do expect some videos on other topics. I'm also I'm also trying to make a session on Apache. What was that? I forgot the name. Kafka. Yeah, Apache Kafka. So we'll set it up on AWS, manage, and then we'll try to invoke lambdas and stuff like that. But yeah, more coming in the upcoming session. So yeah, if you have today any questions, more than happy to answer your questions today in the chat section below. So Sai Rao is here. Hi Sai, how are you doing? Good to see you, man. Expect some videos more on cloud essentially because I'm moving in the direction of cloud. I wanna master more and more components on cloud. So that's what we are gonna do more. Harsh Kumar is here. Hi Harsh, how are you doing? Good to see you again. Yeah, if you guys have questions or any topic that you wanna have a debate or you wanna discuss more on that particular topic, kindly put your topic in the chat box and we can try to have some very nice debate on that. Okay. So So hope you have enjoyed a session on Elasticsearch and Kinesis Firos, right? For moving in large amount of data to the Elasticsearch, I think that's one of the very good way to move it. Second option, of course, you can use Kafka and Lambdas. You can build your solution on that. So hope you have enjoyed that. We recently, moved 54 million data points using SQS and Lambda. Made a video on that. I actually had to also summarize some nice videos on Lambda, right? I went into too deep, like about cold start and how the Lambda works, how what are the life cycle of Lambda when it starts. So I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of reading on Athena file formats as well. Yeah, if you have questions, yeah, kindly post them in the chat section, and we can try to have some nice debate. Harsh says, what is RAID forum? I do not know what is RAID forum, so maybe I'll Google it after this and I'll try to get back to you. I do not know what RAID forum is. Okay, looks like Raid Shadow Legends official. Okay. I'll definitely try to check that out. Maybe haven't heard about Raid forums, so what is a leaked forum? I do not know what is a leaked forum. Well, I read more on softwares, so I have no idea about those leaked and all that stuff. Yeah, if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat section, and I think this is the very best way I can answer questions. Uh, if not, what I can do is I can go over the YouTube comments. I have a lot of comments that I haven't answered, so I can start going around that. Oh, Hari Krishna Srinivasan is here. Hey man, good to see you again. Uh, Very old subscriber of mine. I always see him usually. Good to see you, man. I think it's a very good opportunity where you can ask questions. So don't hesitate to ask question, or don't feel like, oh, it's just, my question might be stupid. It's fine. I mean, no question is stupid or silly, right? Question is a question. Uh, Mr. Hari Krishna says, when can we expect more stock market videos from you? uh, I can make a lot of videos on analysis and Python. I made some tools on Python with stocks, right? But seems like this channel is more focused towards cloud and data and Python, and not to stocks, which is why I plan not to make videos on stock. But if you really want, maybe I can put it on my second channel that I have. I can upload charting, analysis and stuff like that. So yeah. Okay. Any other questions we can answer today? I'll be there around for 30 minutes here. If anyone wants to talk, chat, feel free. Yeah. Prakash Reddy here says, "Good morning. How's your coffee?" Well, it's good, good, good. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you for asking me. I hope you are also doing fine and staying healthy. What's going on with you, Prakash? What project are you working on recently? I'm watching some session on Kafka today. So, trying to understand, I mean, or rather experiment with different messaging queues here. I used SQS, of course, tested that, but wanna explore more and more. EFK on Raspberry Pi Kubernetes cluster, but I don't think it's gonna work on Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi has a very small memory. I remember when I was running Docker containers on that, Raspberry Pi was literally like, bro, what are you doing? Unless you have the new version of Pi, which has a quad core and a 4 GB RAM. If you have that one, then it's fine. But I don't think it's. Oh, you have 8 GB. Wow. Well, then it should be fine. The newer version has 4 or 8 gigabytes of RAM. It's easily meant for running containers there. So yeah, that's interesting. Okay. You might have to do in order to access your Pi over the public internet. You might have to set up a DDNS. You have to set up a domain name. Then you have to go to the router. Noip.com, or what was that? I forgot. I did it a long time back. You need to then set up you need to set a static IP for your Pi from your router. Once you do that, then you link that to a domain name, and then you expose port whatever. Let's say you're running an HTTP application, so port 80, and then that way you can access it throughout anywhere in the world. That's I have to do though. Okay, that makes sense. Good. It's good, good, good. Yeah, I think it's a fun project. I've done this in the past, right? So I know how things work. Noip.com, you'll go there, register a domain, then download the software on the Pi so that anytime the public IP change, you would, take care of that, and then you go from there. Other than that, I have everything is done. Okay, that's great. Perfect. What exactly are you building, Prakash? If you don't mind me asking, are you building a web application or a microservice or maybe some home automation or IoT project? I'm not sure. Let me know. Maybe we could talk more on that. I also have plan of learning Apache NiFi. It's a tool used for data stuff, so I'm planning to do that as well. Started for building K8s, Kubernetes clusters. Oh, I see. But what are you planning to run for building K8s? But what are you planning to run on the Kubernetes clusters? Are you trying to run an app, maybe a web application or some API? What exactly are you running on Kubernetes? Uh, because Kubernetes is a way to orchestrate your Docker containers, right? So you must be running some containers, right? So what containers are you running? Yeah, I played with the Kubernetes, all these stuff now. I'm more into cloud these days. Now I have a fast API application. Oh, okay. So I see what you're doing. Fast API application running on Docker container. You wanna scale up using Kubernetes. You'll set up a DDNS. Oh, sorry, domain name on no IP. Set up a static IP for your Raspberry Pi. Expose the port. Then essentially access that through the internet. Yep, I got that. I got the concept. That's cool. That's cool. And you know what? Don't get me wrong. It's a very nice, fun project, but I feel it's a great to learn. I mean, if you're doing for hobby and stuff, great. But if you're doing for industry, people are not gonna give you Raspberry Pi or servers to set up, right? You wanna leverage EC2 instance, right? Try to leverage your knowledge and see, hey, how can I put my fast API on EC2 instance or Fargate or whatever, ECS, Docker container. I would try to push you in that direction, essentially. But if you're doing a fun project, hobby project, yeah, that's great. But remember, this is not the industry standard way. Like if you want to do for your project, mini project, and all that, it's fine. Fast API, Kubernetes on Raspberry Pi. But everyone is on cloud, right? So you want to know cloud better than Pi. Servers are available, right? Uh, Infrastructure is managed now these days, right? So it would make more sense if it's a mini project, it's fine. But if it's not, then it makes more sense to. I would like rather spend time on exploring options on AWS or Google or Azure, what I can do. That's my suggestion. I have a fast API projects with ECS Fargate using Terraform. Okay, then that's fine. So that means you are on the right track. So because I thought you're doing something with Kubernetes on Raspberry Pi, I thought it doesn't make sense so, to do all that because then once you're on cloud, you have Route 53, you can set up domain name, you can set up certificates. Things becomes easy, right? So okay, good to know. Prakash Reddy says, I'm trying to get a logging to Elasticsearch. Not sure if you're using a managed service on AWS. They have just a checkbox which says enable logging. So that should be it, right? I mean, if you're using stuff from Amazon, all right. I would say also since you are doing with Fast API, try to look into try to also look into authentication, right? How can you authenticate your app or whatever Fast API through Cognito? So I know I did some research on Flask. They have something for Flask. I don't know if they have for Fast API. I haven't done much research because I make most of my APIs as a serverless Lambda API gateway, same thing, So, but as I said, right, in past I have done a lot of work on Fast API, Docker, Nginx, but yep. Sounds good. Sounds good. Look into Cognito and Fast API. Maybe I think that might be a fun one to explore, I guess. All right. Any more questions we can answer? Any more debate topics you wanna have today? More than happy to talk about those topics today. Prakash says you are not watching IPL. No, man, I am not watching IPL. I first of all, I don't have Hotstar. I have to buy a paid subscription. Not much a cricket guy. I prefer watching maybe. I know it's gonna be sound like a nerd, but I prefer maybe watching like a YouTube video, AWS reinvent video, which is like 2 or 3 hours, or maybe some tutorials or taking some course. I would spend time there. With that being said, is I'm not saying like I always watch like videos related to my field. I do watch movies. Yesterday I watched a very nice I guess movie. It was South movie or Tamil movie. The name was pretty hard to. I'll tell you the name that I watched yesterday. Let me see. Where did that movie go? I have no idea. I just watched it yesterday. Was some South movie. Pretty nice movie though. I really liked it. It was on Netflix, so I was watching that. Where did that movie go? I have no idea where did that movie go. Yeah, whatever. I'll search for the name later. I'm not able to find it. Aditya Ghosh says, "Hey, it would be very nice if you discuss about data lake creation for ML application." Well, I can discuss about data lake, but I'm not the best person for ML application, right? I know how to create lakes. I know how to, as I said, right? I can talk about creating lakes, but not sure about the ML application. So let me know what specific do you want to talk about lake creation. So maybe because that's a very broad concept when we use the word lake, right? What exactly do you want to learn? If you could be a little niche, and maybe I can then explain the concept. I do have a video on data lake. Not sure. Basically, data lake is nothing but S3, right? Organizing, maintaining your data in AWS S3, running glue crawlers for the metadata. Essentially, as the lake grows, then you can query via Athena, standard SQL. You can connect the lake. You can use the data. You can use the lake data using glue script or SageMaker. You can connect and you can read that massive amount of data and do train your ML models. So yeah, I think I have a videos on lake handling streaming and batch data in an application. Yeah, sure. I can. Let's talk about that a bit. So let me switch my screen and yeah, as I said, right, I have developed a lot of application, man. With data lake, I as I said, right, about 1.7 terabyte worth of data we ingested. So let me see if I can make one. Not the best one. So let's create. Okay, so for you, Aditya, I'm doing this. Okay, so yeah. So what is a data lake? Right, data lake is a way. Let me hold on. Before that, Give me 1 second. I'll be back in a second. I just need to get something. I'll type here. Okay. So data lake, right? So essentially, data lake is nothing but a fancy term of organizing data in S3. So I'll show you how we should organize data. This is your data lake, where your data is, right? Now, how to organize data? I'll share some of the strategies here. So you will have a lot of the producer that is gonna produce data, right? Let's say these are these are your applications, right? Producers. Now, either I can opt for, depending upon the stack I opt for, I have used, as I said, for 54 million data points, I have used SQS and Lambda, it worked just fine. So depending upon using Kinesis or stream application or whatever that is, so I prefer to use a very standard one. So producers are gonna produce messages to the SQS. We'll set up 1,000 concurrency on Lambdas. I'm trying to use serverless architectures here. So that's that. Then we'll have a dead letter queue here. You have your DL queue here. You have your S3 bucket here. So the first thing that's gonna happen is, so now the producer will produce, damn it. It's hard to do this. So the producer will produce messages into SQS and the Lambdas have been invoked, right? Now the Lambda has the logic of all the stuff. Now you wanna optimize, I think I have discussed all this, but still I'm gonna talk up again. So you have all these messages, right? So what you wanna do, you don't wanna send individual messages to the SQS. Instead, you wanna group it into an array and then convert that into a string, compress that, right? So that way you can squeeze in more and more messages, right? Now you can set up a batch size on Lambda, which means your Lambda will read the data in batches. So your Lambda essentially is gonna get this entire batch, right? You're gonna serialize back to the JSON, and then for each record you're gonna do a put record, right? Now some of the important concepts that I have learned during that is, remember, when you have a JSON, you might have a nested JSON, right? What I mean by that, so what we wanna do, the first thing when you get a record, you wanna essentially flatten it out. You wanna have a code that can essentially flatten out your JSON, so name. So always flatten out your data, because otherwise it'll be a problem, right? The next technique that I can teach you here, once you flatten out, always convert all the values to a string. Why I say that? This is from my work experience that I'm talking. Because say you have something called age, right? And it's 11, and tomorrow if it is a string, your data lake is gonna break, your glue crawler will break, and it's a mess. So instead what we do is we convert so if you go to Google, I think I have a code, I'll share the code in a second later on, don't worry. But you want to convert all the values to a string, right? You want to convert all the values to string. Once you convert the values to string, then what you want to do is you want to compute an MD5 hash on the data, which means if there is a same data point, right, automatically the MD5 hash is going to be the same, and you will remove duplicates. So our logic essentially now here, so that's that way. Another thing that you want to do, this will make sure that you only have a unique records in your lake. Once you have that, now the next strategy around this is essentially about version. So say you have name, whatever, let's say 28, right? Tomorrow, let's say if your date producer added a new column called language, you know what, the glue crawler will break, or you know, the schema has changed. What I personally tend to do is, here is a technique that I use. So what I do is I take all the keys in the JSON, and then what I do, guys, is I compute an MD5 hash again on this. So say this essentially what it does, it gets converted into some numbers. Okay. So now what I do, I store this on an S3. In my Lambda, I have a logic, right? So what I do, hey, every time a new record comes on Lambda, before putting on the data lake, I check, hey, compute the hash on all the keys of the JSON dictionary, get the hash, then check the hash on the S3. Is the hash, so for this particular file name, is the hash there? If the hash is there on S3, then you know, then it's a version v1. If the hash changes, right, then you know, then you know that a new column has been added. If I add a new column, the hash will change, right? So you know that it's a new version. So now your partition strategy on S3 becomes something like this. So this is your raw folder, your landing bucket, where your data lands. Now if you partition, yeah, so now what we can do is, now the one that I like to do is here. I want to make this one here. So this is how I'll maintain my day, lake, month, and then I wouldn't have a day partition. I don't want to get to the day level. I usually prefer doing year and month. It works fine. Hold on, I need to figure out how do I add a new, okay, this one, and I guess this. Then what I do is I have a version partition, so v1. So anytime, as I said, when I compute a hash and the hash change, automatically it will create v1, v2, v3. So my lake essentially will keep growing, right? Now what I prefer doing is, I'll draw the box later on. So this is your partition strategy of your raw bucket, right? Now as a lake engineer or a cloud engineer, you always, damn it, this is always hard to, yeah, okay. So I have my data on the data lake, right? Now what I'll prefer to do is I'll always replicate my data onto a different region. Say this is US East 1, I'll replicate my data here. So as a good practice, I prefer replicating my data. Okay, I have my data over here, replicated over here, right, in this bucket. Now what I do, once I have my data in the landing bucket, right, this is a producer producing messages. Remember, you can replace this component by kinesis as well, it doesn't matter. But now I will prefer this in a box. Okay, so a little bit here. Now the next component comes is, I will essentially run a glue job on my raw data. So what this is gonna do, it's gonna take this single files and it's gonna create a Parquet snappy compression. So right now, remember, on my data lake we have single unique files, right? Single unique file. My glue will run on that and it will essentially compress and create a Parquet file, and that will essentially go to a second landing bucket, which we'll call transform, where people will be reading data, or ML people, whatever XYZ. So here, this is my Parquet snappy compression data. Now over here, what I'll do again, I will run a glue crawler again. So I have uploaded my metadata here, and now Athena. Now I'll drop an Athena here. So now I can query my data using standard SQL. Now the ML people can easily read data from here, or Athena, they can issue a SQL query and, you know, connect that Zeppelin or SageMaker notebook or whatever they want to do. But this is sort of way you want to approach data lake, right? You want to have partitions. Now another technique, as I said, now again, since I'm going a little technical, now this is your lake, right? So the concept here is, I will try to show you some concepts of duplication. So let me open up a new one. So remember, what I showed you here is, if I grab my notebook, so my strategy here was having single file, and the file name is essentially an MD5 hash of the data, right? That way, if a record is duplicated, automatically it will be updated. You will have unique records only. That's one way to approach duplicates, right? So that way your lake grows, your raw bucket grows here, right? And then essentially you run your glue crawler that compresses the data and, you know, make it available. The second approach that I want to show you, this is the one that me and my colleagues, and we had some debates and a lot of stuff. Is a very interesting concept. So let me show you. These are all. If you wanna, like for example, if you wanna do updates on this data lake, so this is where you have records, right? So you'll ask me, Samuel, what if I wanna update any record here, right? So there are a couple of approaches we can do here. So one of the approaches, my teammates and my manager, and we all discussed was. So I'll try to zoom in. Damn it. Hash file name. What was the other thing I had to do? Wait, one sec. Hash file name. Hash file name. Yeah. So remember now, when you wanna when you wanna update or do any sort of updates in the data lake, right? So remember here, these are the files. These are files like this. You have a lot of. So what we do is, another strategy we obtain is, we compute an MD5 hash of. So if you're not doing single record, if you're doing batch record, the file name would be an MD5 hash of this. What we do is now, so for each record we have an MD5 hash. Remember, every record will have an MD5 hash, right? So MD5. So now each record will have MD5 hash, right? So now in DynamoDB, you want to create a table where you want to have that MD5 hash, and then you want to essentially have the file name. So now tomorrow, if you want to update that particular record in the lake, the MD5, you can query DynamoDB because you have the MD5 hash, and then because you have a lot of files, right? File 1, file 2, file 3, which file that particular record is in. So now you can write a job that can essentially take the hash and file, and the job essentially goes, read that file, iterate over that record, and will update that particular entry. That's one way of doing it, right? This is also one way you can do it. Other ways can be, for example, again, I need to show you. So say you have raw data, right? So what you want to do is you want to group your raw data essentially. You want to group your raw data in the data lake, and as I showed you in my strategy, right, we have a lake, right? So now this is actually pretty amazing. So hold on, I'll show you. So what you do is now, let me make it 2, 3 more. Okay, so now you have all this data. Remember, these are all the folders that you have on the data lake, right? So you write a job that essentially iterates over all the folder, and then for each folder it launches a virtual job. It launches a batch job on cloud, which means what it's gonna do. Remember, in this one you have all the single file, right? So every single thing, what it's gonna do is gonna launch this in. So if I take this one, hopefully I'm able to explain you the concept without getting too crazy. So for each one, right, what we are. Why is it so big? Make this one small. Oh, that disappeared. Whatever. I'm just gonna tell you the idea. Let me delete this stupid thing. Copy one of them, and hopefully you got the idea. So now here you have data. Remember, this is your partition data. So for each partition, you launch a virtual job because you want to do things on scale, right? You don't want to have slow. So what you can. So think about like this. So for each partition now, you're launching jobs, man. So now you're doing things at scale. So what you are doing, in a second I explain you. So essentially for each partition, right, the Python job is responsible for going into that particular partition, taking all the single files, compressing it into a JSON, right? So that way, when a particular item gets added, so it's a dynamic job based on how much ever partition you have. For each partition, it will launch a job on the cloud, like spin up cloud jobs. So that way now you can essentially aggregate stuff, right? You can aggregate the particular partitions, and then you can create data lake. So these are some of the strategies, right, you can obtain, right? So one approach is this. Second approach is where did that go? My Dynamo stuff. You can maintain a DynamoDB table of hash and the file name, and when anytime you want to update that particular record, you can write a job. That's the second way to do it. Third way is essentially you can write a glue job to transform the data, put the data to the transform folder, and then from there, Athena, normal ML, whatever, all this stuff. So yeah, these are some of the techniques you can use, right? You wanna have version, which means anytime a new column is added, you make sure that you automatically partition v1, v2. So your code is smart enough, the Lambda is smart enough to do all that. You flatten out the JSON always, right? You do that essentially. Then you compute an MD5 hash on each row so that you can select a unique. Anytime a duplicate record comes, you will update the record. If you are doing multiple records in a file, then you want to compute a hash on the file level and then store that hash in a DynamoDB table. So you can, that way, if you want to update anything, any record in that, you can refer to that file and now you know the hash and you can update it. Okay, I guess I went too technical, but hopefully this was useful for Aditya. Aditya, I usually don't do long technical videos and Q&A, but hopefully this made sense, right? So yeah, that's how you wanna do it. Oh shit, we have a lot of comments. I did not check that. Ashutosh says, could we have a video over deploying machine learning models with AWS Lambda functions? Yep, maybe down the line. Aditya Ghosh says, my data are from Postgres, Excel, CSV, JSON. I need to create a unified profile and update the profile. If there is an update in any source, Postgres, Excel, then we use training. Okay, makes sense. Prakash says, how will you handle the schema changes? I just explained, right? How will you explain? So let me answer Prakash's question. So schema change, Prakash, right? You asked me, right? So I think you did not, you missed the part. So, but I'll explain again. Not to worry. Okay, Prakash, hear me out. Hear me out. My idea. Okay, you have name and age. Okay. Right, what you do is by default in the Lambda you always convert the values into a string. You flatten out right before that. So now what I'm gonna do, Prakash, is I'm gonna take this, right? I'm gonna compute an MD5 hash. So say the hash came out to be, okay, this is the hash. So now I'll store this hash on the S3. So now next time a new record comes, so let's say again the next record comes, I compute the hash is this. Then I'll say, okay, check this hash on the lookup table. Is it there? Oh yeah, I have the hash. Okay, then in that, so think of this that this becomes like, so let's say this becomes your file name is, let's say, I'll use ABC. This is your file name, right? ABC. So here in that, I'll store the metadata in the file. So here you will have your hash, and then here you will have the timestamp and all that, all that stuff. So every time a record comes, you compute the hash and check, hey, check in abc.addition, is this hash equal to the hash that I have? Yes, it is. Then use the version v1. Else, anytime a new item gets added, anytime a new things gets added, the hash changes. So now you know, oh, this hash doesn't match with that hash. Then automatically you partition your buckets with version. So your month version. So anytime a new schema comes, it automatically goes into a new folder. So now your glue crawler can run basically on different versions of your schema. Hope that helps. Okay. So Aditya, hope that makes sense. I tried my best to go deep as possible, right? As I said, right, I create a lot of data lakes, right? I maintain about 1.5, 2 terabytes of data lake in my company, right? So as I said, these all things have come from my experience, right, that I'm trying to share. So, removing duplicates, maintaining a lookup tables, creating a hash of individual rows, right? So yeah. So Prakash says hash changes if the column order changes, even if you have the same 2 columns. So the hash never change. Hash will only change if you have a new column, remember. So whenever a new column gets added, the hash change, it automatically goes into the version 2. So hopefully that makes sense. And on Glue, you have an ability or a feature where you can, when you create a crawler, there is an option that says update new columns only. What that means is anytime there's a new column, Glue will simply update the schema of your existing crawler and keep adding those columns. So hopefully that makes sense. How will you identify those kind of scenarios? Which kind of scenarios? Hash changes if the column order changes. See, if the order, so that's a thing, right, Prakash? When you compute the hash, you always convert into a lowercase and you always sort it alphabetically, right? So hopefully that makes sense, right? You know what I'm trying to say? You just don't say, because name comes here, then you have age. What if age comes here and then the name comes? Hash changes. So what we do, first of all, when we convert into an array, right? We sort the array alphabetically. That means we make sure that the order doesn't change. We make sure that it's all lowercase, because tomorrow, what if they send you a capital? So you do all these things, steps, right, before essentially creating a versions, right? So hopefully this makes sense, and yeah. So when you compute the hash of columns, right, column A, column B, column C, right, you always convert into a lowercase. You always strip, you always sort it, and then you compute the hash. Because tomorrow, if they send you an uppercase A, the hash change, you screwed up, then it goes to a new version. Of course, you wouldn't screw up, but it will go to a new version, right? That's why I said, if you follow all these stuff and you build your architecture that way, it's flawless. So hopefully that makes sense. I showed you some amazing approaches you can use to essentially remove duplicates as well, right? You can maintain individual file names with the hash. That will make sure that you have unique records. You can launch dynamic processes based on partition, virtually. You could do that. If you are doing a lot of files in a one record, maintain a DynamoDB table of hash and the file name in which that. So that way you can have a because DynamoDB is, you can work on a petabyte scale, so you have your indexes set up, so now you can easily query, hey, for this MD5 hash, which file is this recording? So I know, oh, this is in file number 12345. Okay, so now your Lambda goes, scan all the records and update that particular record and does that. That's how you want to do it. But you could use something called what was that, Apache Iceberg, but yeah, there are a lot of stuff you can do, man, but this is just some of the things I'm sharing from my personal experience, from what I do at my company. So we maintain all these hash and take care of all these edge cases. So hopefully Aditya and Prakash, that makes sense. Hopefully that was a nice session. Okay, five for 10 more minutes, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, so I think we went a little long with the design and all that stuff, but yeah. Aditya, any more questions with the data lake? Hopefully that should clear most of your questions now. How to maintain data lake, how to create data lake. There are a lot of steps involved in a lake creation, right? As I said, right, raw, transformed. And remember, your glue job has bookmark, which means it won't process data that's already been processed, right? So, as I said, right, cloud is the way, man. If you have all this big data, to solve these big data things, you have to use cloud. Otherwise, processing all these data takes months. You want to do this in hours, right? Then that's how we scale up, right? Use cloud, scale up, lambdas, SQS, Kinesis, all that stuff, right? That's the way. That's the way to go. All right. Hopefully that was a useful session. Prakash says, did you use a glue workflow? No, I have not. I am in a process of experimenting that. But I don't know what it is. Essentially, you connect glue crawlers, and then once your crawler is done, you can run a glue script. I don't know what it does, but I haven't used it as of now, but I do plan to use it in future. Any more questions? Anything that hopefully that made sense to you guys, right? Data lake and all that. Is sharing between glue jobs? What is this? It is a sharing between glue jobs. Yeah. I haven't, as I said, I haven't used it. I'm still experimenting with that part. So, yep. All right, guys. Any more questions? Anything that I can answer for today? I'm more than happy to talk about things. Prakash says, you said you sent an email. You said you sent an email. Which email? Sorry. Gaushankar Mani is here, says hi, how are you doing? Prakash Reddy says, I never got it. Which email are you talking about? I have no idea. I get so many emails every day, so I have no idea which email are you talking about. Any more questions? He said you replied to my email. Okay, which email? I have a lot of emails, so I don't know which email because I get emails from everyone like, oh, I have this error message with a screenshot. So yesterday in one of the video comments, I said I was looking for your video. I said I was looking for your email and I did not find it. You might want to double check your email. My comment. Test email. Let me see if you send me. Let me see right now. Let me open my Gmail. Did you send on the right email? Let me see. Primary. Nope. I don't have any email. I have one from Markiek, Shweta. Then I have one from Shweta. But nope. I don't see your email. Let me search for your word. Prakash. Nope, I did not find your email. Maybe it went to spam, not sure. But maybe try sending to this one again right now if you have a chance. So yeah, try that one. Yeah, bro, I do not have your email, unfortunately. Yeah, yeah. Let me know when you send it. Okay, so maybe we'll get in touch. Uh, how are the CA certificates used in cloud services? Any pointers? At this point, I don't have any video. I have not worked more with certificates, but if I plan to, learn about that particular part, I'll definitely try to make some videos for that. So unfortunately, at this point, I do not have an answer for that. Oh, your name is Surya. Is this the one that you sent me? Prakash, did you send me an email? Not sure. I got an email, but it says Surya Kosna. Is that your name? Let me know if it is. Oh, okay. So your name is Surya then, and I was searching from the name Prakash. So which is why I was not getting it. Okay, perfect. So your name is Surya. Then okay, Surya Prakash Reddy. Yeah, right. I got your email. Perfect. I just replied. Bye, Ashutosh. Goodbye. To the same email I sent a while ago. Yeah, must have got lost, man. Get so many emails, man. But yep, now I have your email and I have replied you as well, so we can stay in touch. I'll send you my phone number as well. We'll connect and talk more about cloud, AWS, and yep. So where exactly are you from, Prakash? Oh, you have your LinkedIn. I guess I can connect with you. Oh, you. Oh, damn. You have a very interesting profile. So worked as a senior. Let's see. Worked as a QA engineer from 2008 to 2010. Then from 2010 to 2011, test engineer. ETL test engineer from 11 to 12. Senior quality engineer from 13 to 13. Senior data quality engineer. Then senior automation engineer. Then data quality engineer, then senior data engineer. Wow, interesting. You did your mechanical engineering from Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University. You completed your masters from Texas A&M University in 2007. Very interesting, man. We'll stay in touch. Okay, perfect. Yep, I just saw your profile. Yeah, we'll keep in touch. Yeah. Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, now I remember. Yep. I remember now. Perfect. I guess I'll wrap up today's session. Thank you, Prakash, for joining in today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ashutosh. Thank you, Aditya, for your data lake questions. Thank you, everyone, for all your questions. Hopefully, I tried my best to answer all the questions. Time to head off. So thank you very much for joining in today for live Q&A. I will try my best to do more and more often these Q&A. Had a great conversation with Prakash, on a lot of AWS stuff. Then we had some conversation on data lake, and yeah, it was fun. So thank you so much for watching. And if I haven't answered any question, send me an email. And if I haven't responded to your email, you can send it to me back, because I get a lot of emails with some people sending me screenshot of error messages, right? So I try to ignore them, right? So, yeah. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the upcoming next video. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you